Hi Flosstube friends, it's lovely to be back. Today is the last day of April and this is my Flosstube number 11. A big hello to everyone first, welcome back if you are returning, and hello if you are new. I hope that you stick around and maybe subscribe to see my future episodes. I did my last Flosstube around 2.5 weeks ago, and since then I have managed to fit in about 38 hours of stitching, so quite a lot. I've got quite a lot to show you. I have only worked on 4 projects this month, so not this month, but in the last 2.5 weeks, like in the last half of this month, since my last update, I've only worked on 4 projects. So with the number of hours that I have put in, there's quite a lot of nice progress on those particular 4 projects. 2 are WIPs and 2 are new starts, so we will be looking at those in just a minute. But before we do, just wanted to firstly say a huge thank you to every single one of you that has subscribed to my channel, taken the time to join me in watching my stitching updates, because I have finally graduated from the under 1,000 subs club, which is wonderful. I'm really grateful to every single one of you that does take your time to choose to watch my stitching updates. I really do appreciate it, so thank you to all of you. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do. I hope that you enjoy this video and my future videos. So in today's video I am going to be showing you my stitching, obviously, so that will be 4 projects that I've worked on. But I also have a few other things that I would like to share with you. So firstly, I will be showing you my very favourite hoops. I love them. I discovered them about 6 months ago. And before then, I had tried lots of different types of hoops, types of frames, and these are by far my ultimate favourite. I cannot praise them highly enough. I recommend them to everyone. So yeah, if you're never quite sure what frame you prefer, you've tried a lot and not found one that you absolutely love, definitely stick around for that, because I highly recommend these particular frames that I will be showing you. I also want to talk about a SAL that I would like to host soon, starting in July, so it gives plenty of time to prepare for it and kit up, but it's also not too far away, so I'm going to talk about that today. And I have a bit of haul, a little bit of life update, and WIPGO update. Is there anything else? No, I think that's everything. So let us start with the stitching. My 4 projects that I've worked on this month, 2 you have, sorry, no, not that I've worked on this month, that I've worked on since my last Flosstube. So in the last 2.5 weeks, the projects that I have worked on are 2 existing WIPs and 2 new starts. I'm going to start off with the existing WIPs, so the ones you have previously seen. And the first one is my tiny Modernist summer signs. So I will put up a little photo firstly of what this will look like when it's complete. And then I will also show you a picture of where I was last time so that you can just get a bit of a comparison. So yeah, in the last 2.5 weeks, this has been my progress. I have 2 fully completed squares and I have started on the 3rd. So far we have An Ocean Breeze Puts the Mind at Ease, Life is Always Better on the Beach, and I've started on this one, which I think is the one with the sunglasses on, maybe, no, yeah, I think so. Sunshine is the best medicine, I think this one's going to be. And then I've saved my favourite one to last, because my favourite square is the one with the little crab on it. Can't remember what it even says, but it is my favourite one, so I've saved that one to last. Yeah, so I've really been enjoying working on this. I absolutely just love the colours. This kind of orange pinky shade is just so cheery. Yeah, just really cheers me up to stitch on this, and although we're still in spring, I'm starting to feel a bit summery with the nice weather, so this has been lovely to stitch on. It's also allowed me to sort of tick something off my WIPGO board, because although this hasn't been called yet, I did have a goal on my WIPGO to start any beach themed pattern and work 10 hours on it, and this ticks that box. So yeah, this is Tiny Modernist Summer Signs. They come as a set of 4, so it's all one pattern. You can buy it as a download or as a physical copy. Mine is a physical copy, but pretty sure this is downloadable on their website also. And I am stitching this on 18 count Rustico Ada from my own shop, and it's just like very slightly sort of sandy looking, like it has a lot of things that would be suitable to stitch on this because it's a nice neutral, but particularly for this piece I think it works well because it does have a sort of sandy vibe to it. So that is whip number 1. Whip number 2 is my Mirabilia, yes, it is a Mirabilia, but obviously by Nora Corbett. This is my Ophelia's Pearl from the Petite Mermaids collection. So she is one of the smaller mermaids, and so that is how she will look when she's finished. This is what she looked like last time I showed her on my Flosstube, which was in episode 10. I have done an update on Instagram since then, so you may have seen a bit more progress than that, but this is what she's looking like now, and I am adoring this piece. She is really starting to come together. It's this tail here that I have been working on, and I just think the colours in this and everything about it, it's just so lovely to stitch. It's beautiful, and there's not too much beading down here at the bottom, which is why I worked my way down first rather than up. So yeah, all this detail on the tail is stitched. There are no beads at all that go into the tail, so I'm hoping to extend this tail fin down here over the next couple of weeks and finish that one off, and then just fill in here. There are a couple of beads here, but again it's mostly stitching and very few beads, and then I'm going to work my way up here. I have still not decided whether I'm going to attempt doing her skin 1/1 or whether I'm just going to stick with 2/2 for the whole piece, because I've been stitching her on this hand dye, which was a hand dye I did myself, and I've been stitching on this 32 count hand dye, obviously 2/2 for all the stitching so far. And yeah, I'm just undecided on whether I'm going to attempt the 1/1 for her skin. I will decide when I get up there. I'm leaning towards yes, but also slightly nervous about it, so I may change my mind and just stick with doing it the same as everything else. But yeah, one last look. That is my progress on Ophelia's Pearl. She's gorgeous, I love her. So those are my 2 whips that I've been working on. Then as I said, I've had 2 new starts. So my first new start that I have to show you is a Lizzie Kate piece. It is called My To-Do List. Now I will pop up a picture of how it will look when it is finished. I've not got the pattern here because I've only got my working copy, not the actual front bit of it. It's somewhere in my drawers, but I will show you a picture of what it will look like finished, and then this is where I got to. So I, as you can probably see, have completely changed the colours. I've done quite a lot of work on this. I'd say this is probably close to half the stitching done. I've sort of focused on the bottom half of the pattern. I started with a centre start, worked my way down. This is the last row here where this green motif is. That is the last row of the pattern. And then I will work my way up and finish the top. But yes, as you can see, I have changed out the colours completely, and I've not even planned this out before starting to stitch it. So basically I have a plastic organiser box full of anchor threads that I got from a lady's D-stash quite a while ago now, and I don't really use anchor that much, but they're there, and I just thought that I would completely wing it with this pattern, change all the colours, and so I've just had the box of anchor threads there in front of me, and as I've been stitching it I've just been choosing colours as I go along, and then once I've started stitching a certain symbol and picked the colour for that symbol, I've just jotted down what I'm using, And yes, I'm just trying to work my way through using some of those anchor threads, because otherwise they will just sit there unused, which is a waste. And I think it's working well so far with the colours that I've picked. They're quite cheery. I've used sort of a golden yellow and then quite a nice pink for all the lettering so far. The flowers are all different shades of pink. I've picked a nice green, which is used for quite a lot of the stems on various flowers that will be stitched further up, and this little motif. And there's still a few colours left, like a few symbols that I've not got to stitch in yet, so I will be choosing some more colours for this. I am stitching this on 16 count opalescent green fabric. I'm not sure if that translates very well on the camera. I'm trying to move it to see if I can capture the sparkles. Not sure how much of the sparkle you can see, but this is the same fabric that I stitched my little bunny birth sampler on, the pink opalescent, which was slightly defective in the sense that it's not a perfect 16 count. As you know, if you've watched the episode where I spoke about that, it was very obvious on my bunny piece because that was supposed to be a circle, and because of the slight unevenness in the fabric, it didn't end up a circle. But I did my previous Lizzie Kate on this with no problem, because this kind of design you just don't notice if the dimensions end up a little different to what they would on a perfect count fabric that is all uniform. So yes, I thought that to use up this fabric, these are the sort of patterns that it's perfect for using for even. So yes, that is my first new start. My next new start, I am really excited to show you. So this is a SAL, and I started talking about it, I think either in Flosstube 1 or 2. It was very early, so it was months and months ago that I said I'd seen this SAL, probably on Instagram. There was a Facebook group for it that I joined. I was in the group, I was organised. As soon as the list of materials came out, I bought them. So it was all kitted up and ready to go from the moment that the first part of the SAL was released. It's 26 parts because it is an alphabet. And I just didn't start it. And it's just gone further and further on. The SAL is now on letter X, so there are literally only 2 parts left to be released, and I have finally made a start on the letter A. So this is the Whimsical alphabet SAL. This is by a designer called Demina, and her shop name is Little Room in the Attic. She is a Russian designer, so I believe that her Etsy store is currently unavailable, although I do know that the site stitch.ru do sell Demina patterns, and I think that they do have some of the sets of the letters, because this was a free SAL, but you did have to download the letters as they were released. And I think like 5 letters at a time after they'd been released. When the 5th letter, or it might have been 6, had been released, then that part of the SAL, those patterns were removed from the free download section, and then they became purchasable, so you had to buy them to get those letters. Then she started with the next set of free letters, and so on. So unfortunately, if you have never seen this SAL before and now think that you'd like to stitch it, you will have to pay to get the patterns, but they are lovely, they are beautiful. So I will try and give you a better look. It's called the Whimsical alphabet SAL, and every part is a different letter. It's got this beautiful calligraphy writing done in backstitch, and then also, as you can probably see, the backstitch on the little characters is pretty insane. It is a challenge. There's also a lot of sparkly threads in it, a lot of Kreinik, never know how to say it, somebody please tell me. But yes, so far I have done A is for Awesome, which is the ballerina who is stood in the sort of stance of an A. There she is. I have done the B for the letter B, and I have posted both of these on my Instagram because I was so proud of finishing them and too impatient to wait for my Flosstube to come out first before I shared them. So if you are following me on Instagram, you've probably seen A and B, but I have now started on C, who is a little cat. Obviously she's not actually a cat, she's a lady, but she will have a little headband with cat ears on. You can see this fabric is a lovely silver fabric that is just opalescent all over, so many sparkles. Again, this is the same 16 count fabric that I've just shown you for the Lizzie Kate New Start, the one that isn't quite perfectly 16 count, but I have a lot of it in my stash, and I have been trying to just select patterns it will work for. And I think, again, for a pattern like this, you don't notice because each character is relatively small, a small stitch area, and you know, they're not symmetrical as such, they're not either round or square, and you just don't notice at all. So this, I thought, was a fantastic project to use up a very large piece of this fabric in the silver. If you're wondering what these are my towel clips, but I did buy them specifically for this purpose. So this is obviously quite a lot of fabric. I know a lot of people use grime guards. I don't particularly love using grime guards on my projects just because I find them like they can be a little bit restrictive in really like covering your viewing window, as it were. I'm always worried about accidentally stitching through the back of them and like attaching the grime guard to my project. And I saw someone else on Instagram, and I really wish I could remember who it was, but they were using like giant clips, and they were in the US, they were an American Instagrammer, and I asked like, wow, what are those clips that you're using? And she told me they are beach towel clips. So I did a little Googling just on trying to find in the UK, and of course there's plenty of places that do towel clips, but I actually found these ones on the Matalan UK website. I was getting a couple of bits of clothing for my little girl, and they happened to pop up. I'd been like buying her some unicorn themed clothing because she's mad about unicorns, and then these popped up as a suggested item, probably because I've been looking for unicorn stuff, and they're great. So I've basically just rolled up the fabric, and then these are massive clips, and they're absolutely perfect for this. I love them. They came in a pack of 2. They were £5, and I may well get a couple more. They had other designs as well, but I'm loving it. I'm loving how securely they hold the fabric, and that I don't have to use a grime guard to keep it all out of the way. And it is the season, I guess, for them stocking items like this. So yes, would recommend that beach towel clips are a fantastic idea. Thank you to whoever suggested it to me. So that is all my stitching that I have to show you, and I would like to move on next to showing you my favourite hoops. So I have just been showing them to you. This should be a massive clue, and all my projects are in the same type of hoop. They are my favourite hoops ever. They are by a company called Nerge, and those particular hoops are the Nerge square hoop frames. Although they are not a perfect square, they are slightly rectangular. They are my favourite. I have recommended them so many times. People often comment on my Instagram when they see my photos of my stitching, and it's always in those frames. And so many people over the last 5 or 6 months have asked me what they are, and I always recommend them and tell them what they are. But a company called Hobby Jobby, who I've mentioned before, I have shopped with them before, I have bought quite a few kits from them previously. They contacted me last week with some exciting news that they are actually starting to stock the fancy coloured versions of the Nerge hoops. And I was super excited because obviously they're my favourite hoops, but they are all just like a very generic browny yellow colour. They're not the prettiest, although they're very functional. But they messaged me and kindly offered to send me a set of the new coloured hoops so that I could share them with you guys. and show you what they're like. So I've saved it. It arrived a couple of days ago. I've not opened it. You can see it's come in 100% recyclable packaging, which is great. And I'm just going to open it now, if I can get into it. Please don't mind the rustling too much. That's in another package inside. And here they are. So excited. So I can see here, they have sent me one of each size. We'll start from small to large. So the small one is in the baby pink, and this is the number 1 hoop. I think these are 110 mil. So they are like 11 centimeters on the largest measurement, slightly less across here. The next size up is the 165 mil number 2s. This is just the normal colour that all my others are in. So yeah, 16.5 centimeters for that size. And then the number 3 is a 220, which is a pretty useful size, like 22 centimeters. This is the size that I have my Lizzie cake project in, that I have already shown you. But the blue is so much prettier. And then the largest and my favourite size personally is the number 4s, which are 28, so 280 mil size. I love these, and this is the size that my Whimsical alphabet is in, and also my Mirabilia. So, whoops, I just dropped my mermaid. So yes, I obviously would like to say a big thank you to Hobby Jobby for sending me these to share with you, but I'm also really excited to just tell you a bit more about these hoops in general, because I've been using them now for quite a long time. I've recommended them to so many people. I recommended them to Stitch with Beth, who you probably also know. She's been doing Flosstube for a little while longer than me, and I know that Beth, off the back of my recommendation, did try these out for herself and loved them, and subsequently recommended them to some of her friends. And I'm pretty sure that her friends that are doing the little round robin stitch along with her at the moment, I'm pretty sure that when they did the Flosstube episode where they were all sat stitching together, all 3 of them were using these. So yes, they are lovely hoops. I absolutely cannot recommend them highly enough. The way that they work is really easy. So they basically have just a screw here, which you can loosen off. The middle will pop out. And so you've got the centre bit, the outside bit, and it works exactly the same way as a wooden hoop in terms of you put the fabric inside, fix it back together, and then you can tighten the tension. But what I just love about these so much is how well they hold the tension. I used to, on my wooden hoops, have to really over tighten them. Sometimes I get them really, really tight, and sometimes, in all honesty, I forget to even tighten these up. I literally put the fabric inside, pop it in, then I pull my fabric all around to make it tight, and then yeah, typically then I just tighten the screw a little bit, but I never have to like really pinch it in. Like, they just hold the fabric brilliantly. They are very, very lightweight and just easy to use, and they do not mark the fabric, which is a big one for me, because previously in my wooden hoops, I don't know how wooden hoops like manage to get your fabric dirty, but they do, and I don't really understand it. Like, even if my wooden hoops were, you know, not dirty, you know, all they do is go on my stitching and then get put away, but I'd still find that sometimes wooden hoops would leave, like, can only describe it as what looks like dirt or grime marks that they would leave on my fabric, and it was really annoying. And I'd be there like with wet wipes, like going around my wooden hoop trying to clean them off, make sure they're as clean as possible before I use them, and they would still somehow sometimes mark my fabric, and I just don't get that with these. They are also compatible with my Lowry stand. They work wonderfully well. You can see in the profile that they are very, very skinny. And yeah, they really easily clamp into the Lowry frame. Yeah, the Lowry stand, sorry. They just work perfectly as a frame. You can clamp them in this way if you're working on something that's more landscape, and it just works. They get held really firmly. You don't need any corner brackets like you do with a Q-snap or any fancy attachments. They just work really well. They also work with my LBZ Posy Lock stand, so that's the wooden stand where it's facing you like this, as it were, and it's clipped here, and then it like flips up and down. So yeah, it works with both the stands that I've got. And I just love them. I'm going to stop rattling on now, but if you do love these new spring colours, which I just think are amazing, all the sizes are available in all 3 of these pretty colours. I think my favourite is this purple lilac. It's really beautiful, so I'm pleased that that is the large one. I'm probably going to switch my mermaid onto this. Yeah, it's just beautiful. So yes, hobbyjobby.co.uk have all of these colours in every single size. They also sell them in a 4-pack where you get one of each of the 3 colours, and then I think it's the smallest one in the 4-pack that they sell. You get one of each, and then the very smallest one, so this size, is the one that you get in the normal sort of yellowy brown. Hobby Jobby have given me a 15% off code that you can use, which is LA15, so LA15. That will give you 15% off these hoops if you would like to try out these beautiful summery colours. If you do try them, let me know how you like them. I am confident that you will not regret trying one out. They are just fabulous. I rarely stitch using anything else. So moving on to plans for a brand new SAL. This piece of stitching may be very familiar to some of you. Ooh. So this is one of my previous finishes, and this is the set of summer memory jars designed by Susan Bates. This was designed for Cross Stitcher magazine, and there was also in another issue of Cross Stitcher magazine a festive jars version. So I can show you this one in real life because I have finished it, but I will just pop up pictures of both together from the magazine previews so you can see both. So those are the 2 patterns. There's the summer memory jars that I have finished, and there is the holiday festive jars version of the same pattern, as in the jars are all the same size. There's 9 of them, same layout. And I did mention a couple of episodes ago, I think it was, that I would really like to see if anyone would like to join me for stitching the Christmas jars by doing a SAL. Side note, if you can hear a child crying, I'm sorry. I've snuck off into this like quiet living room to do this. Adam is with the kids and they are supervised, but somebody's having a meltdown. So if you can hear that in the background, I'm really sorry. But they're not alone, and I'm sure everything's fine. So back to the proposed SAL. I would really like it if anyone would consider stitching these jars with me. It is the festive jars that I will be doing, and as such I am planning for a 1st of July start for Jolly July. If you're not aware of Jolly July, I'm sure you are, but if you're not, there is a hashtag on Instagram, Jolly July, and it is for people to get organised with doing their festive or Christmas stitching and to start doing it in July, in the hope that it will be finished in time for Christmas, because obviously it's a slow hobby. It takes a good while to finish anything, so people that like to be organised with their Christmas stitching often partake in Jolly July and start stitching then to hopefully finish in time for Christmas. So that is my plan with these festive Christmas jars. Now what I am proposing is that if anybody would like to join me, I am going to be calling this the 9 jars SAL, just to keep it really simple, because there are 9 jars and I'd like to stitch them with you guys as a SAL. But as I said, there are the 2 patterns to choose from. So the idea is to start in July, which will work well with the way that I am going to plan out when we start each part, because I will pop up a picture of the dates that I worked out. But basically, if you would like to join me, my intention is to stitch one jar every 18 days. So longer than 2 weeks to finish it, but not quite 3 weeks, because that would have pushed it past Christmas by the time we would finish the last jar. And I just thought it'd be really lovely to try and make sure that in whatever plan I put together, the goal would be to finish this for Christmas if you are picking the festive option. Obviously, if you pick the other option and want to join in the 9 jars SAL and stitch the pattern that I have already stitched, that's also absolutely fine. It would still be obviously the same end date, but that is the summer memory jar SAL. So you would be starting it in summer, starting it in July, finishing it in December, and you've got plenty of time then to frame it and get it ready for summer display next year. But yes, so this is the plan that I have put together. 1 jar every 18 days. That is very doable in my opinion from my stitching of the previous piece. Like, the jars are not huge. They, you know, if you can sit down for a couple of hours at a time, I think like one of those jars on that previous one I finished in a couple of days. Some are trickier than others, like more detailed, and obviously they take longer, more colour changes. But some of the very simple jars on the pattern, I think like this first one was very blocky colours and it didn't take me long at all. So you can see they're not very big at all. I should have really checked the stitch count, shouldn't I, so I could tell you, but they are really not large. And like I said, the ones that have a lot of blocky colours and not so much changing and fiddling around, 1 jar might take you like 5 hours, maybe a little bit longer for some of the trickier ones, like this City Nights, which was a lot of small areas of colour. Took me a little bit longer, maybe closer to like 6 or 7 hours. But yeah, maybe like somewhere between like 5 hours and 8 hours a jar, let's say, depending on how fast you stitch. So for me, doing that in 2.5 to 3 weeks will definitely be doable. I will just plan to do that first, kind of at the start of every part of the SAL, and get it ticked off, and then just focus on whatever other projects I've got going on, but get this done first. So yeah, if you'd like to join me, the plan will be to start on the 1st of July. We will start stitching a new jar every 18 days, as I've shown, which would mean that our last part 9 would finish on the 9th of December. So I thought that was a good sort of time frame. It's just over 5 months. It's like 5 months and a week, and finishing a good couple of weeks before Christmas. So hopefully, if we all keep up with it, we will have something finished in the earlier part of December, which can then be framed and actually displayed for Christmas this year. Or like I said, if you're doing the summer one, then it's finished and you can just get it framed and either ready to enjoy straight away or save it to put out until next year. But yes, so the 2 pattern options, like I said, are my finished one or this one here that I will be starting. You can pick either. There won't be an order to stitch the jars in. You can start where you like. So I will probably do a centre start on my festive version of the pattern and start in the middle, and then I will just see where my mood takes me. So yeah, don't have to stitch the jars in a particular order. It is just as simple as doing 1 jar for each part of the SAL. If you think you would be interested in joining in, please let me know. Obviously, I will mention it again nearer the time. Regardless of whether anyone joins me or not, I will be starting it on the 1st of July, and I will be tagging all my Instagram posts about it with the hashtag 9JarsSal. With regard to the patterns, they are, like I said, both by Susan Bates. I've mentioned her quite a few times. I love her designs. I'm just going to look at my notes quickly. So the summer memory jars are from Cross Stitcher magazine, the August 2018 issue. and the festive jars were in the December issue from the same year, so that is December 2018. So if you have those back issues in your stash, or you can source them secondhand, or if you subscribe to an app like, I think it's like Readly, or maybe your local library app, you may be able to access those old copies of the magazines. But if not, Susan Bates, the designer, does have both the patterns available on her Etsy store. Now, I say she has both of them available. I tried to go on there this morning to find the links for both patterns so that I could put them below so that you could just easily find them. And I could only find the summer pattern on her Etsy, but I do know that she did put both of them on there, but the Christmas one seems to have vanished. So if you'd like to join in this SAL and you want to stitch the Christmas jars, I would suggest that you just drop Susie a message. I will put her Instagram name below and you can message her on there and just ask if she's going to be adding that Christmas pattern back into her shop, or whether you can purchase it directly, or otherwise those other places may give you some more success with looking. Like I said, the back issues, like I've given you the issue, so hopefully either way, whether you buy it from Susie or find a back issue, I hope that you can find the pattern, kit up, get ready and enjoy it with me. Do let me know. Moving on to WIPGO, I thought it was about time I did a new printout for that. So this is my current WIPGO board. Now, as you can see, I have 3 projects marked green. So that means they have been called and I have finished them. So that was both of my January calls that are green and 1 call for March. But the rest that you can see in pink are all things that have been called and are currently outstanding. So I think that's 8 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so I've got 8 of my pink boxes. So they have been called, but I have not completed those goals. However, I have 4 yellow boxes, so those are things that have not been called, but I have completed them. So when they do get called, I can just tick those off straight away. So with that in mind, in reality, where I am is that I've got 8 calls that are unfinished, but 4 that are finished that have not been called. So I've sort of got 4 projects outstanding, if that makes sense. Like I'm 4 behind in terms of how many overall should either be green or yellow. Now, 3 of them were called for May instead of the usual 2, because number 13, the middle square, was called for May, and Jessie, when that happens, calls a further 2 numbers, because most people typically leave the number 13 in the middle as free space, just blank. So whenever 13 gets called, she calls 2 additional ones, and there will be 3 calls for that month. But I, of course, did not leave my middle square blank, so I have 3 calls for this month, and all 3 of them are brand new starts. I do need to catch up on my others. The goals for April were to do 5 hours on my Cornish Folkies. I did 20 minutes that I showed you in Flosstube 10, and I didn't pick it up again this month, so I need to put like 4.5 hours into that, slightly more, to make up my 5 hours to tick that off. And then my other goal for April was to work on my Stitch Rovio Seasons of adaptation, the Emma Congdon pattern that I've adapted, and stitch 10 squares. I just didn't pick that up at all, but I will get round to them, and I'm more excited at the moment on concentrating on the 3 for May. So it's 3 new starts and a goal of doing 10 hours on each of them. And I would like a bit of input in terms of what I should stitch. So one of the new starts is very easy because I have specified it, and that is going to be this sea turtle from the World of Cross Stitching magazine. I have loved him since the moment this magazine came out, and I've just not got around to starting him, so I stuck him on my WIPGO board and he's been called. So this is issue 310, which is September 2021. if you like him and want to stitch him. So that is my first new start, easy. And the only thing that's not easy is that I need to choose a fabric to put him on, but I have got all my threads ready for him. The next new start is any Rendale from my stash, and I cannot decide between these two. So I've got Grow Your Own, which is the rabbit eating all the various vegetables, although despite the fact that my name is Cross Stitch Bunny and I love rabbits, I am not a rabbit expert or a rabbit owner, and I did find it quite funny. Somebody else was stitching this on Instagram, and one of the comments was from someone with quite a lot of rabbit knowledge who said that all the food in this picture was making her nervous for the rabbit because a lot of it is actually apparently poisonous or not too good for rabbits, which I would never even have thought of because, you know, it all looks like healthy fruit and veg. But yeah, apparently some of the vegetation in this is not rabbit friendly, but we will not worry about that. I just thought it was funny. So this is the first design that I'm possibly going to start for my Rendale New Start. Or this is the second, which is it Brambles? Yes, Brambles, which is this little mouse on like a cane of blackberries. Now I have already done a mouse. I have done my Daisy mouse, which I have previously shown you, and I've completed that. So in one sense, I thought it would be nice to do the Bramble mouse, and then I will have two mice. One is very spring or summery, surrounded by daisies. This one with the blackberries would go nicely with that, and it, like I said, it would be two mice. Like I said, or there is the rabbit. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to start. Please do weigh in. Let me know in the comments below which one has your vote, as it were. I will probably put a poll out on my Instagram as well, and then I will look at the comments here, look at what people think over on Instagram, and then make a decision. And I'm so torn between the two that I will probably just go with the majority because I really can't decide. So let me know which is your favourite out of those two Rendale designs, and that is the one that I will stitch. For my third new start, I do not have anything physical to show you because I have all the patterns, but they are downloads. So my third call for a new start for WIPGO was to stitch any of the 4 seasonal band samplers released by the Tiny Modernist. I'll show you the 4 patterns here. They're all beautiful, and I have got everything organised and kitted for all 4 in terms of threads and fabric, and I just need to make a decision on which one I'm going to start. Not going to ask you to input on that today or help me out with that because my plan is to start on a Rendale first and get that turtle on the go, but in my next episode I'll probably revisit this dilemma in deciding which of the 4 of these I should start, and I'll ask you next time to weigh in on that. But I plan to start that back end of the month. Hopefully, if I stick to my goals and actually start all 3, that one will be later in the month. So that is all of my WIPGO update, all my stitching. All I really have left to do is show you a little bit of haul, and it's not too much this week, and then a really short life update. So over to my haul. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, I have acquired 3 new patterns this month. You will have seen them on Instagram because I was too excited not to share them. So I have got the Amethyst Mermaid by Bella Filipina Designs. She is beautiful, I love her, and Amethyst is my birthstone. I am a February baby, so that is the main reason that she appealed to me. Obviously I've not kitted her, I've not got anything ready for her. It will be a good long while until I start her, but I'm really glad that I've added her to my stash. And then I have got this Fairy Roses by Nora Corbett. She doesn't seem to fall under the Mirabilia brand. She only has Nora on her packaging. I'm not sure how old she is. I'm sorry that it's a bit glary. Yeah, she's also like, she's in different packaging than the Mirabilia ones are. Like, this is just printed on this picture. It's not one of the little inserts. But yes, Fairy Roses. I love her. I love the colours. Love her wings. And finally, the third one. Oh, it would help if I put it the right way. This is the Willow Queen. You see her? And she reminds me very much of the Cathedral Woods Goddess, but she's very similar style. She is a lot smaller, I think, and less complex, but yes, similar. And there is another pattern called the Rain Queen, which I think actually pairs really nicely with this one, but I don't have that one yet, and I'm not planning to buy it until I get through all my others, which will take forever. But yes, I just really liked this one, and we'll start her at some point, not sure when. So that is like the most exciting bit of my haul. And then off the back of some recommendations at the Mirabilia, not only but also Mirabilia retreat that I went on. Obviously, like I said in my previous video, it had a heavy Mirabilia focus, even though you were welcome to stitch anything at all that you liked. But a lot of people naturally were stitching a lot of Mirabilia designs, and a lot of them have a lot of beading. So I saw Ina, Ina_stitches is her Instagram name. I saw Ina using a particular type of thread, and I asked her what it was called, and it's called Nymo, N-Y-M-O. I'm sure that a lot of you may have heard of it before, but I had not. And it kind of feels like that dental floss that's like more like a tape, if that makes sense, but it is a lot thinner. But it's got like a flat profile instead of being like round. It's got like a fairly flat profile. It's very thin. And Ina highly recommended this for beading with, and I don't have a lot of experience with beading, none at all in fact, I don't think. And at this point in time, I have not added beads to any of my designs. I'm not sure if that's showing up at all. But anyway, I went ahead and bought 5 of these in different colours. So I got the white, I think that's the black, yeah. So I got white and black, this like neutral cream colour, this very pale like pinkish colour that I thought may actually work well for the beading on my Ophelia's Pearl Mermaid, because all the beads are pinkish or orange. So that is probably the first one that I will try out on that pattern. And then I've got like a greyish silver. So yeah, I thought that they did have lots of other colours, but I thought those would cover my bases. These were £1.50 each from a website called Spellbound Beads. I will double check that and I will reference them below, but yes, so that was a brilliant price, like compared to Amazon or other places. The delivery was £2, but because I bought 5 of them, it spread that delivery cost over 5 items, and like the cost per spool still ended up like a lot less than I could see them for anywhere else. So yes, I would recommend that website if you would like to try this out. I also saw Ina using what she called a beadsmith, like a sticky mat, and there was quite a few people using these at the retreat. So I had a little Google when I got home and I ordered this on Amazon. The delivery on it actually ended up costing, I think, pretty much the same as the price of the mat, which was pretty annoying. Like, it wasn't on Amazon Prime or anything, but these did look amazing and excellent to use when I saw Ina using hers at the retreat, and then other people were using them, and she literally like laid out her beads on it, and I was like, can I pick it up? And she said yes, and I picked it up, and literally all the beads just stuck to it. None of them fell off, but they came off really easily when she was grabbing them with her needle. So I thought this was a worthy investment, because the way that I'm getting through my Ophelia's pearl, I think that I'm not too far away from adding the beads to her. So that is my little bits of haul for this month, not too much. Final thing would just be a really quick life update, and I don't have a huge lot to say, because I'm trying to keep this short. I want to keep this video under an hour, and I can see that little timer ticking telling me that I'm on like 50 minutes already, or close to 50 minutes. I'd like to keep this under an hour, so I was going to go and grab Rose, who is our new puppy, to meet you, but we will save that for another time, and I will just give you a verbal update. So the puppies that you've seen in my previous videos, they have all gone to their new homes, but we did decide to keep one. My daughter Daisy had named her quite some weeks ago, before we decided to keep her, but she named her Rose, and once they are named, that is dangerous dangerous territory, and Daisy wanted to keep her, and she's lovely. She's a lovely, sweet little thing, and yeah, I was not difficult to convince, neither was Adam, so she has stayed with us. I will pop up a little video or something of her, hopefully, but I'm not going to go and grab her now to introduce her, just because otherwise, you know, I'll be here forever. So you will meet Rose in one of my upcoming videos, and that is my most exciting news for the month, that we have got a new puppy, because, you know, so we have puppies with fair regularity and we get to enjoy them when they're very small, but by the time they get to that lovely stage of being like really on their feet and fun and starting to do stuff, they all leave. So yes, it's been a while since I've had a puppy that is our puppy, and we are all really enjoying her at the moment. Another little bit of good news is that my daughter got into our first choice of primary school, so she is due to start her schooling in September. If you're in the UK, you'll know how the system works if you've got kids, so you're allowed to apply for 3 schools, but if you're elsewhere, the system where you are might be different. But here in the UK, we apply for 3 different schools of our choosing, and then you have to wait and see which of those 3 you are allocated, and there's always the possibility that you won't get any of those 3 and they will allocate you a completely different school. So we are really over the moon that Daisy was allocated our first choice. It's a really good school. It's not the closest to us, but we are well within the catchment area for it, and it is literally just a couple of miles away. But there is another closer school that is right round the corner from us, walking distance, but that was not our first choice one. But in all honesty, I thought, I was fully expecting that the one round the corner was where she would be allocated, just because we are so close to it, and that would have been fine. It was on our list, but I am just really thrilled that she got into our absolute first choice. It's just an excellently rated school, and that's going to give her a really good start. So yes, happy news. Less happy news for April, which I'm not going to dwell on too much, but we had COVID in the house. Literally, I got back from the retreat and Adam was already feeling quite unwell, so I'm fairly confident I did not come home from the retreat and infect him. I think Adam was already a little bit poorly, feeling under the weather for the couple of days that I was away, and then he ended up having to go to A&E for another reason, and as standard, when he went into the hospital, they COVID tested him and it turned out that he was positive. And then it made a lot of sense, I guess, why he had been feeling quite so rough as he did. And then I kind of followed suit, and within a few days of being back home, I felt pretty rotten, pretty awful. Pretty sure we didn't test the kids, but I'm pretty sure that they had it too, because we were all a bit under the weather. So we just tried to be sensible, although there are actually, no legal restrictions anymore at this time. I know it changes constantly, but there are no legal requirements anymore to isolate and things here in the UK, but we just tried to be really sensible, and we stayed away from people, stayed at home for the 5 days that they recommend but don't enforce anymore, and we're all feeling much better. So yes, thankfully it was short-lived and we are all completely back to normal. For us it was just like a really rotten cold, and to be honest, I've had colds that have been worse for me personally. So yes, feel really fortunate that we were not too badly affected. That is everything. I would just like to say a big thank you again to all of you that have pushed me over the 1,000 subscribers mark. It just feels like a bit of a milestone, and yes, big thank you to all of you. If you are in the UK, and perhaps if you're not, but particularly if you are in the UK, just a quick note that my Stitchy website, stitchbunny.co.uk, does have a big sale on at the moment. I have 35% off all fabrics, so that's all the Aidas, all the even weaves, linen, although there is limited linen on my store at the moment, but all the fabrics that I do have are discounted 35% off. And on the handmade WIP bags on my website, they are also discounted by 15%. There's no codes needed, and I'm running that sale until the 4th of May. That's when it will end. So if you would like to have a little look and a browse over there, obviously I'm a tiny small business and every sale is always appreciated, and at the moment you get a nice discount. So maybe some of you would like to take a look. I do ship worldwide, but I fully appreciate that the cost of shipping outside of the UK is high, and unfortunately I can't absorb it. I have to charge it. So yeah, it's probably of most interest to those of you that are UK based, but I look forward to seeing you all in a couple more weeks. Let me know which Rendale to start, because I'm hoping to start that within the next 2 weeks. Let me know if you plan on joining the SAL. Take care everyone, enjoy your stitching, and I will catch up, my mind went blank then, I will catch up with you all in mid-May. Bye!